Hi, my name is Amy Mazzi and I'm with Supreme Boats, and today I am here in front of the all-new 2021 model year ZS232, and we're going to walk you through every cool aspect of this most valuable towboat. One of the most unique aspects of the 2021 ZS232 is the bow. And it's not just the bow from the inside, but the outside. It's got a really wide stance. It's extremely aggressively shaped. I mean, it looks mean even just sitting here on the trailer, but it's also got a lot of accommodation on the inside. It's got great depth to it for safety. It's got great comfort just because of its sheer size. And it's really all around, I would say, one of the most unique aspects of the ZS. Another characteristic that you'll notice about the ZS232, even when it's sitting on the trailer, is the shear line. The shear line is the point on the boat where the deck and the hull come together. And you'll notice here, it makes a Z on one side and an S on the other. That's one of the reasons we ended up with this name, ZS232. We lovingly refer to it as the Zeus because it is mythical in its look and its performance, but really you can tell a ZS from a mile away just because of this distinct style and this distinct shear line that it has on the side. While we're on the outside of the boat and we're talking about things that are unique to the ZS, let's talk about this little piece of the hull design here. This little pad that comes out on the side of the boat, we call it staggered chine stabilization. What this is a tooled in piece of the hull that is present on both sides of the boat, but it's in a little bit different spot. So on the driver's side or the starboard side of the boat, the staggered chine stabilization is a little further up. On the passenger side, it's a little further back. The reason for that is it is stabilizing the natural weight displacement of a boat. So a boat that has a driver's console and the weight of the driver on one side and kind of nothing to offset that weight when the boat is empty on the other side needs this balance. So these pads create lift in specific areas on that hull, especially when the boat is underway, and they allow it not to be so side-to-side weight sensitive. They allow for a symmetrical wakeboard wake, a symmetrical surf wave. In other words, it's very similarly shaped on either side. And that is all because of this staggered chine stabilization. So you may all know that the Supreme has a modified deep V hull. And what that means is the V of the boat, it's about 20 degrees of dead rise at the transom, but it gets up to a little over 30 degrees underneath the bow of the boat, or the most extreme part of the V. What that gives you is a great rough water ride. But what it can also give you, if it's not optimized in one way or another, is sometimes a little bit of weight sensitivity from side to side, which we talked a little bit about how the staggered chine stabilization helps with that. But also, we want that deep V so that you can create a bigger wake or a bigger surf wave with less ballast weight. And we are exaggerating that with the shape of the ZS hull, because what it is it is a tapered deep V. And what I mean by that is not only does it have that deep V running surface, it tapers towards the transom of the boat. You can see it kind of roll under. And while it's got some other balancing pads on the rear corners to keep it less sensitive from side to side weight shift, it also allows the rear of the boat to displace more water, to sink deeper into the water because of that taper, especially at the rear where most of the ballast is going to be located, and getting a maximum weight displacement. Even though this boat has 4,600 pounds of ballast available from the factory, it really exaggerates that displacement because of the hull design, because of the deep V, and because of the way it tapers towards the back where a lot of the weight in the boat exists, like the engine weight as well as ballast weight. And it essentially, it gives you a better wakeboard wake, it gives you a better surf wave. So once you've created that displacement with the shape of the tapered V and the displacement of the 4,600 pounds of ballast, then you can command the surf wave. So what we use to do that is an apparatus called Quick Surf. Quick Surf are two plates located on the rear corners of the boat. The plate opposite the surf side goes down, creating lift, and then digging that surf side corner to make that curl behind the boat. Now you can switch or transfer in about 1.8 seconds. The wave will move from side to side. Essentially, that's what Quick Surf is meant to do. It's meant to get that wave to curl. Other than that, the mass of water or the push behind it is being created by the displacement of the hull. A standard feature on the ZS232 is the Stinger wake plate. The Stinger wake plate is located on the transom in the very center of the boat. What it does, takes hook in and out of the boat, and what hook does is it creates lift at the back of the boat. So when the plate goes down, it lifts the back end up, especially when you're underway, and what that does is get the nose of the boat down. So for instance, if you're getting ready to take off from a still position, you can get up on plane without ever losing sight of the horizon because you don't have bow rise when you have your Stinger plate deployed. Now you bring your Stinger plate back up and the nose of the boat will come back up. That's how the Stinger works, and it essentially changes the running attitude of the boat. As we step up onto the ZS232, you start to get an idea as to just how big this boat really is. It's just over 23 feet in length, but the height of it is amazing. That's one of the reasons why we can displace the hull as much as we can to create the wakes and waves that we do behind this boat. But it's pretty impressive once you step up onto the swim step just how big this boat is. And it's extremely accommodating, even on the back end. If you're gonna be hanging out, swimming, you wanna store some stuff back here, you've got two storage compartments that are good for shoes, but they can also be wet storage as well. They have drains in both of them, slam latches. They both open really easily and are easy to access, independent one another. They also make for a great seat just for hanging out. They're comfortable, and you've still got this big sun pad here behind you if you want to lay out and spend a little more time. But the back end of the ZS, as domineering as it appears and as big as it appears, it's extremely functional and very comfortable. So as we step down into the ZS232, you again start to understand just how deep this boat is. I mean, when I'm sitting in it, I'm really sitting in the boat, which is nice. I don't have to worry about taking water over the back or water over the nose. I feel safe, secure. It doesn't matter if I'm a child or an adult, it's comfortable. One of the reasons it is so comfortable is because of the spraddling vinyl that we use on this interior. It has kind of a matte finish to it, a nice texture. It gives it that, I would say, upscale look, but at the same time it's extremely comfortable and resilient. So it has an 8mm top coat. What that top coat does is guards against staining and abrasions. It's held together with Gore-Tenera thread, and yes, Gore, you're right, it's Gore-Tex, it's made by the same company. Extremely resilient thread, probably even stronger than the vinyl itself, and the way in which it is stitched helps with that strength. So you'll notice on the interior, it's going to be really hard for you to find one stitch all by itself. You'll never see two pieces of vinyl brought together by that single stitch, especially in a high stress area. So you don't have to worry about your vinyl pulling apart. Instead, you'll see things like a French seam, which is actually sewn 3 times, or a half stitch, which is sewn twice. This gives the interior not only a really cool look because you can color match some of the stitching, at least on the dash, but it also helps this interior stay together, whether you're standing on it, sitting on it, or just looking at it because it's so pretty. It is a very resilient interior, and it's got a cool look to it. So the flooring in the Supreme line in general is standard gator step. This particular flooring scheme is a 2-layer scheme, and it's a Supreme cut. So this is not standard, this is an option. One of the things you can get, this is 2-layer, and it's got black on the bottom and shark fin on the top. Now you can choose between 15 different colors for each of those layers as an option. And when you upgrade the Gator Step in any of the Supreme boats, especially the 232, you get the riser as well as the flooring, which is typically an option, but when you upgrade to the Supreme Cut 2-layer, you get the riser all included, and you can color match it to your interior. The Gator Step is beautiful, it's extremely resilient, it's nice on the feet, doesn't get hot because it has a texture to the top of it that really dissipates the heat a lot more easily, and it just looks cool. So also on the interior of the ZS232, you've got an option for sound. And the standard sound system is a wet sound system. It's a 6-speaker system, and you can see it here in the side panels. It sounds great, it comes standard, and it's something that you can upgrade to another wet sound system. You can upgrade to the Champ system, which includes 2 tower speakers, or to the Hero system, which includes 4 tower speakers, and not just any tower speakers. These are 4 Rev 10s from Wet Sounds, so you can go as little or as much as you want on the sound system in a Supreme. We believe, even though this is probably considered a value class or an entry-level water sports boat, that you should have as many options as your heart desires, including a great stereo system. And this one from Wet Sounds is just that. So the interior accommodation in the ZS232 is pretty obvious. It's a very deep and comfortable interior, but it also has a lot of rear-facing viewing points. So here we've got a drop-in lean back that you can opt for to have another rear-facing position for your passengers. It allows you all to not get a kink in your neck, you know, turning around to see the rider. It's extremely comfortable, and you can pull it out when you don't need it. You've also got accommodating side panels. So I have 8 different cup holders just on the interior or the lounge side panels. I've got another couple at the passenger seat, I've got another couple at the driver, and I've got still more in the bow. So everybody can have 1 or 2 drinks if they'd like when they're riding in the ZS232. The driver's area in the ZS232 is everything it should be in any boat, not to mention a value class offering. So this boat has a great height to the brow of the dash. I don't have to strain to look over it. I don't have to you know, not see it there. Essentially, it's very visible. And within this, you've got the Omni touchscreen. It's a 7-inch touchscreen, and it offers all of the functionality of the boat. So I've got access not only to my speed control, which all of the Supremes, including the ZS232, comes standard with 0 off, which is GPS-based speed control, but I've got access to my surf settings, which means I can turn my quick surf on from here. That means right now it's set up to surf right, and if I want to switch to the other side, I just hit the L, surf left, my plates adjust, and that's about a 1.8 second transfer. And from there, I go to, I've got GPS mapping available. I've also got something new for this year, which is really exciting. All of the stereo functionality is controlled through a system called ICE. And this particular system allows stereo control through the touchscreen. This is awesome because not only does it Bluetooth very easily to your phone, it allows you to control volume, song selection, play and pause, all through your screen. So it's easy to see, it's easy to control, and it sounds really good, especially with that Wet Sounds system that comes in Supreme Standard. From there, you've also got control of your ballast. I like this because it's extremely graphical. This boat comes from the factory with as much as 4,600 pounds of ballast, and they're in 8 different locations, and they're all controlled independent of one another. So what you've got here is I've got 2 rear surf tanks in either of the rear corners. I've got 2 plug-and-play bags on either side of the engine. I have my lounge subfloor tanks, which are also independently pumped with a Jabsco Ballast Puppy reversible pump. I have a walk-through tank, and then I have a bow bag that looks as if it's 2 separate ballast areas. Really, it's one, and it is controlled with the same pump, the fill and drain, but that gives me 8 different locations, and it's very evenly distributed throughout the boat. So I've got a lot of weight up front, I've got a lot of weight in the middle, and a lot of weight in the back. What that does is it gives me a really level running attitude, even when I'm surfing or fully weighted. It allows me to always see over the bow and, honestly, to displace as much water as possible to create the wakes and waves that I really want. The other thing about this menu is I've got access to rider profiles. So not only can I control the ballast immediately, any way I want, on the fly, I can program those ballast levels that I really love to surf left or surf right or for wakeboarding, and I can put them into a profile just for me. I can have as many as 16 built into this screen, and it allows me to save the way I like to ride and actuate it in the blink of an eye. This screen is extremely easy to use, and it allows me the functionality to change user settings, which means I can change the brightness of the screen. I can change different depth alarms for my standard depth finder. I can change the time, you name it. It'll also help me understand if there's any system information or alarms I need to be aware of, but it's very easy to use and definitely extremely visible. So the Omni touchscreen in the ZS232 is definitely not a trade-off for ending up in a price point boat. Not only is the driver's area of the ZS232 extremely functional with the use of the Omni touchscreen because it controls just about every system in the boat easily, but it's comfortable. In the driver's seat, I'm comfortable, partially because the seat is very comfortable. I've got a nice flip-up bolster if I need to get up over the windshield. It also swivels, which is nice, but the steering wheel is really comfortable. It's a tilt wheel, so I can put it exactly where I want it, but just the wheel itself is comfortable for my hands. It's thick. It makes me feel like I have control of this boat, and it's rack and pinion steering, so it's not like I have to muscle the boat around to get it to do what I want, but the look of the steering wheel is really cool too. I like the way it looks. It adds to the overall, I think, feeling of the dash. Also, I have view over just about everything I need. I've got all my rocker switches up here, which control things like my nav lights, my anchor light, my blower, my bilge. I've also got visible viewing area, I guess, of these big gauges, so I can tell you how fast I'm going and what my RPMs are. Now, these are analog gauges, but it gives me a quick eye shot of what's going on with the boat, and I like that. I don't always have to be, squinting around, okay, how fast am I going? I know right where that is, and I still have really good viewing area of the water in front of me, which is important. The throttle location is also very nice. So I've got a place for my arm to go here, and I can throttle up, throttle back really easily. But overall, this area of the boat is built for somebody that most likely is driving more than not throughout a day, and we want it to be comfortable and controllable, and I mean everything a performance vehicle should be on or off the water. Not only do I have a lot of control over the ZS232 with the new steering wheel, but I've got just as much control over my center stinger wake plate, which is right here with this bump switch. So I can bump this lever up to make the tab come up, or I can bump it down to make the tab go down. Now remember, up will allow my bow to come up, down will allow my bow to go down. It changes the running attitude of the boat, and the bump switch, you don't even have to look at it to know what you're doing and what position you're putting that plate in. The ZS232 comes standard with the F-Series tower from Roswell. This tower is not only good looking, it's extremely strong. It's a tower that you won't hear a peep from on the water, or off for that matter. And what I mean by that is it doesn't rattle. It's extremely sturdy, yet it folds down, and it is a weightless fold. So by unlocking either side of the tower with a tool that comes with your boat, it's essentially a big Allen wrench. You unlock the tower. I actually have to pull this tower down. It doesn't fall no matter how many accessories you happen to have on it. It is weight assisted, which is nice. The other thing you can add to this tower is board racks. You can add speakers with the different sound systems, but what comes standard on it is lighting. You've got this dome lighting in the top. You've got LED lighting along the gunnel, which helps in just being able to see generally at night. And this tower is everything you want it to be and nothing you don't. Plus, it's pretty. I like it because it's pretty. Like we talked about in the beginning, the ZS232 is really probably most distinct up here, up front in the bow. And not just on the exterior of the boat, but this bow is extremely wide, hugely accommodating. It comes with an available filler cushion, so it can be a playpen or it can be a small lounge up front, which is nice as far as versatility is concerned. I've got access to 4 cup holders up here. I've got access to a 12-volt power point as well as USB power. I've got access to my observer storage area from the front, which is nice. I've also got access to the back of the dash if need be. So it's extremely accommodating. In addition, this whole playpen structure, it kind of disguises the ballast that's available underneath, so it keeps that out of the way, doesn't encroach on any storage areas. I've also got an available heater that's available in the walkthrough with a snorkel, so you can bring it up front, put it under a towel, you can bring it back to the observer seat and put it under a towel. It gives you some hot air when you need it. You've also got an optional wind block that goes right here, which if it's a little cold out and you want to sit behind the windshield, you've got that option as well. But the front of the boat is, I would say, just as impressive as the rest of the ZS232. But don't take my word for it. You've got to get down to your nearest Supreme Boats dealer and check out the 2021 ZS232 for yourself. Let us prove it to you.